Hola a todos! Welcome to my channel. I am Mariela, and today I am doing something totally scary but completely necessary. I'm sharing my entire 2026 business strategy with you. I'm going to be sharing the highlights, the goals, framework, revenue models, everything. I'm putting it all out there. I recently read Seth Godin's book, This is Strategy, and it completely changed how I think about structuring my goals. I used to set goals like I want to make more money or I want to grow my audience, but that's just wishful thinking. That's not strategy. Strategy is about understanding systems, making intentional choices, and building something that compounds over time. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through my complete strategy for 2026 and how I plan on building from where I am now to $10,000 a month by the end of the year. But more importantly, I'm going to be sharing the entire framework so you can follow along and plan your own strategy for whatever goal you're working towards. By the end of this video, you'll be able to identify your smallest viable audience, create a philosophy of becoming, design strategic systems, and break your year into actionable quarters. So let's dive in. Step one, strategic foundation. Okay, so before we get into the quarterly breakdown and revenue goals, we need to talk about foundation. Because here's the thing, most people either skip this part or don't understand that this is the most crucial part to any strategy or any goal that you want to achieve. Most of us jump straight into tactics like I'm going to post content every day or I'm going to do a course. But without a strategic foundation, you're just guessing and there is no system for you to measure your success. Your strategic foundation needs to have two critical components. One, your smallest viable audience, and two, your core strategic goals. Let me explain why these matter. When you try to serve everyone, you actually serve no one. But when you get hyper specific about who you're for, that's when things get a little bit easier. You'll notice that your messaging starts to get sharper, your content becomes more relevant, and you actually start to solve real problems. When you get to that point, you stop competing on price because you're the only person doing exactly what you do for exactly who you serve. Seth calls this the smallest viable audience, which is the minimum amount of people that you need for your strategy to work. It is not for everyone, it's for a very specific group of people. And to give you an example of what this looks like in practice, I'm going to share with you what my smallest viable audience is. For me, that's solo founders or small studio owners with about 1 to 5 people on their team and making between $50,000 to $500,000 in revenue every year. They want to scale without losing their creative vision. They value strategy over tactics, and they want to understand the why behind the marketing and not just work with someone that will simply execute for them. The more specific you can get about your smallest viable audience, the better, because that specificity gives you an advantage. The next step in building your foundation is defining your core strategic goal. For me, that's earning $10,000 a month by December 2026 while positioning myself as the go-to marketing strategist for these strategic founders. Now it's your turn. Pause the video for a second and ask yourself the following questions. Who is your smallest viable audience? What industry do they work in? What revenue stage is their business at? What is their actual problem? Write it down. And don't forget, what is your core strategic goal? How much do you want to earn and what do you want to be known for? This is how you build your strategic foundation, and everything else that comes after this build on top of this. So you have to make sure that you can answer these questions and have a clear vision of where your brand is headed. Step 2, philosophy of becoming. All right, now that you know who you're serving and what you're aiming for, it's time to talk about transformation. Because get this, strategy is not about what you do. It's about who people become as a result of working with you. In the book, This is Strategy, Seth Godin talks about the philosophy of becoming. This is a chain reaction of transformation that goes from you become something, then your audience becomes something because of you, and they help others become something too. Here's why this is important. If you're only thinking about selling, you're missing the entire bigger picture. You may or may not have noticed this shift, but people have gone from buying products and services to buying transformations. People now buy the future versions of themselves and who they will become by buying your product or your service. It's not about you. So, when you articulate your philosophy of becoming, you clarify the value that you bring at every stage. You're also differentiating yourself from everyone that does similar work because your transformation is unique to you. And as an example of what this looks like, here is my philosophy of becoming. First, I become a recognized authority in marketing strategy and creative direction. Then, my audience becomes strategic marketers who can lead their own brand evolution They don't just rely on me to execute. And finally, they help others become more confident, discerning buyers who value craftsmanship and intention. I'm empowering them to think strategically, and in turn, they elevate their customers. Now it's your turn. Ask yourself these questions. Who do you want to become? What does your audience become because of you? And who do they help become better? Step 3, your unique strategic position. Okay, so now you know who you're serving and how you're transforming them, but here comes the big question. Why you? Why me? This is where a lot of us get stuck. We think, well, I do marketing or I do graphic design, but that's not positioning. That's a job title. This is important because if you can't clearly communicate what sets you apart, then you're competing on price and you're replaceable. But when you have a clear strategic position, then you become the obvious choice for your smallest viable audience. And as an example, here's my unique strategic positioning. I'm the strategist who helps clients understand and participate in their own marketing strategy, not just execute for them. I use systems thinking to help founders work with forces in the market, not against them. Let me break that down and explain it a little bit. When I say that I empower clients to understand and participate in their marketing strategies, I mean that I'm not the person that just takes over your marketing and does it for you. I'm the person that teaches you how to think strategically so you can make better decisions long after our work together is done, because I can only have so many retainer clients. And when I say systems thinking, I mean that I help you see how the different marketing pieces come together. Finally, when I say work with the forces in the market, not against them, I mean that I am not here to hack the algorithm or figure out how to get you more views. I'm building a sustainable system that compounds over time. That's different from the marketing agency that promises you to 10x your Instagram followers or the strategist that hands over a doc and walks away. Now, it's your turn. Ask yourself these questions. What's your unique angle? What do you do differently? And what's your underlying philosophy about how change happens in your industry? Write it out in a sentence. Test it with people. Talk about your strategy. That's one of the points that Seth Godin made in this book. And the main reason why I'm making this video is because I want to talk about my strategy, but I also want to teach others how to build their own. So do the same. Now, moving on to step 4, building strategic systems. All right, now we get to put all of this together because here's the truth. When you make goals without a systems, they are just wishes. And raise your hand if you've put together a vision board of products that you wanted to have, like a camera or a computer. Yeah, that's not a strategy. For example, since I want to make $10,000 a month by the end of the year, if I don't build a system that moves people from awareness to purchase, then I'm just hoping that it happens. But the beautiful thing about strategy is that it works until it doesn't. Strategy is about building systems that work for you over time, systems that create leverage and compound. For 2026, I'm building 3 core systems, and I want to walk you through them so that you can think about what systems you need to create for yourself. My first system is content to commerce system. This is how people discover me, grow to trust me, and eventually purchase from me. This is what that system looks like. Starting with YouTube, this is my discovery engine. People find me when they're searching for marketing strategy help. YouTube's algorithm rewards value, educational content, and videos last forever. So this is compounding over time. So if YouTube is my discovery engine, then email is how I build those relationships with everybody that has discovered me. This is where I nurture trust, share deeper insights, and stay top of mind. The next step in my content to commerce system is free resources. Free resources can look like strategy templates, frameworks, checklists. These free resources serve 2 purposes. They provide immediate value and they'll demonstrate my methodology. If someone uses my free template and they get results, they'll want more, which brings us to the next step in the system, paid products. Paid products can look like ebooks, audits, mini courses. These are low touch, scalable ways for people to go deeper without needing my direct time. This also funds my business while I'm building. And finally, we have premium services. These are my retainer clients. These are the people who want deep partnership, ongoing strategy support, and personalized guidance. The beauty of the system is that it builds a scaffolding for adoption. Not everyone is ready to pay $2,000 a month for a retainer, but I also can only take so many retainer clients. They might watch a free video, download a free template, buy the ebook, maybe they'll book an audit, and eventually they might become a retainer client. Each step builds trust and competence. It's strategic. The second system that I'm building is what I'm calling authority compound system. With every piece of content I create, I reinforce my position. Here's how. With YouTube being my discovery engine, I build credibility. People see me as an educator and an expert. If they don't yet, they will eventually. With email marketing is how I build those relationships and build trust over time. I'm not just broadcasting, I'm building a deeper connection with my audience. With case studies is where the proof and methodology is. I show how my strategies work in the real world. With ebooks, then I package all of my expertise and it builds passive income. My knowledge becomes a scalable product. My client work is where I get that deep expertise and testimonials. The work I do with retainer clients becomes content, case studies, and proof. Do you see how it all feeds into itself? That's how a system works. My clients inform my content attracts new clients, my ebooks demonstrate my framework, and my frameworks come from real client work. This is what compound authority looks like. The strategy isn't about posting more and flooding every channel. It's about making everything you do reinforce everything else. And finally, the last system that I'm building is time leverage system. Here's a constraint that I have, which I've already mentioned a couple of times. I cannot scale retainer clients indefinitely. There are only so many hours in the week. So I'm deliberately building leverage by balancing service work and client work. What this looks like is for Q1 through 2, I'm focusing 60 to 70% of my time on retainer clients who are high touch, high value, then 20 to 30% on content, and finally 10 to 20% on product development. Then Q3 to Q4, focusing 40 to 50% of my time on retainer clients, 20 to 30% on content, and 30 to 40% on product development. By the end of this year, I'll have digital products generating passive income while I maintain a small number of high value retainer clients. That's what leverage looks like in practice. Okay, now it's your turn. Ask yourself, what systems do you need to build? How do people discover you and eventually buy from you? How does everything you do compound over time? How can you create leverage so that you're not trading dollars for hours forever? Map it out, draw the flow, and identify where those leverage points are. Okay, before we wrap, I want to talk about some strategic choices because as much as strategy is about what you do, it's also about what you don't do. These are some of the things that I'm going to say yes to in 2026. I'm saying yes to YouTube as my primary platform for long form, educational, and searchable content. I'm empowering clients to understand strategy, not just executing for them. I'm saying yes to transparent strategy sharing, modeling what I teach. I'm saying yes to building leverage through digital products. I'm saying yes to systems thinking over tactics. And here's what I'm saying a big fat no to in 2026. I'm saying no to short form content focused on entertainment. Sorry, TikTok. I think it's time to break up. I'm saying no to clients who just want execution without understanding. I'm saying no to a broad, everyone needs marketing positioning. I'm saying no to competing on price or volume. I'm saying no to chasing every platform or trend. I am saying no to working with clients who don't value strategy. These choices matter because they protect my time, my energy, and my positioning. Your turn. What are you saying yes to this year? What are you saying no to? Write them down, put them somewhere where you'll see them every week. Because when opportunities come up that don't align with your strategy, you'll know exactly what to do. That's my strategy. Now it's time to execute with discipline, measure with honesty, and adjust with intelligence. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be documenting the entire journey and sharing along the way. Every quarter, I'll be sharing what's working, what's not working, and where I've had to pivot. This is real strategy in action. All right. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.